What's good, everyone? Welcome to another Saturday Football Showdown. I'm your host, Live Sports and Media, with my man Chris on tap. So we're gonna bring you a lot of news and a lot of a lot of news today and picks today. So without further ado, you know what we do. All right, we back. As I stated in the intro, that we have a lot on tap today, and man, Chris, we're not even gonna waste no time with it. Tell me, first of all, how did you feel about last week's games?
I think overall last week was pretty solid. The Alabama LSU game was really disappointing to me. Obviously Jaden Daniels getting hurt, that changed everything for that game. I think LSU would have won the game had he not got hurt. Georgia, Missouri, that was surprising. I did not expect Missouri to play them Georgia that close. So I think that
Hmm.
speaks to how good of team Georgia is. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid week for college football. Not the best
Yeah,
week.
yeah, I agree. Also, I have an issue with the LSU Alabama game simply because Alabama did this to Quinn Ewers last year, knocked him out the game, and that was should have warranted a penalty for him to be, for Alabama to lose that game last year. Same thing. This game was back and forth. You know what I'm saying? It was tight. And all of a sudden, just that one moment changed LSU's game, and then they lost to Alabama, which I was kind of like, I was ticked off about it because I like Jaden Daniels. Um, and I just love to see him win, and I think he's the way I watch him, the way he was running through Alabama. I mean, he was literally running through Alabama, and he's so smooth with it though. The way he runs is like a gazelle, man, and he just shifty. His shift is not like one of them fast shift. It's like a slow mo shift. Like you just don't expect for him to make moves like that. So he's like, I think he's going to be better if he doesn't come out this year. I don't know what his eligibility is, but I would love to see him come back and go for a national title for LSU. I think he just has that, and I think Chip Kelly, not Chip Kelly, whatever his name is, Brian Kelly, um, they got something going on there if he comes back. But Georgia shows who they are. Um, that Missouri game, I rooted for Missouri. I just like to see upsets. That's just me. I love upsets. I love to see teams, you know, make the better teams fight for everything. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. Um, I wasn't expecting Clemson to beat Notre Dame. I was expecting that. But you know, Dabo ran on his little rant after the show, after the game, talking about make sure you buy stock in Clemson. Nobody buy stock in no Clemson, man. You just caught a team sleeping. I think Notre Dame got caught sleeping, and they should have took Clemson a little bit serious. But this week, if you thought last week was any indication, then you got to stay tuned for this week because this is gonna be more. Oh, also, we what do you think about the performance of Michael Penix against USC last week?
I thought he played a good game. I thought Caleb played pretty well too. I think Michael Penix is separating himself, from Caleb, and a lot of quarterbacks are separating themselves from Caleb. I can't sit here and tell you Caleb is for sure the number one pick. I can't. I just
Yeah,
can't. Not far and away. Like, do you really want to spend we'll get into it later, but do you really want to spend your whole franchise on a guy like Caleb? I don't know if I can do that, but Michael Penix is a stud.
Actually, I'm glad you said that because I heard some stuff yesterday, and we're going to talk about these guys' draft stock later in the show. So therefore, we're gonna hold that thought. But the big shocker yesterday, as we've been waiting for what weeks and weeks and weeks, the Big Ten to make a move on Jim Harbaugh, which I feel he was pressured by the other colleagues of the Big Ten. Um, your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh getting a 3-game ban for the rest of the season and probably further on throughout the playoffs?
So I was watching College Game Day this morning, and they were saying that Jim Harbaugh, he trying to file a restraining order against the Big Ten, and they weren't sure if he could coach today. They just came out 10 minutes ago and said that restraining order got denied and he won't have a hearing until next Friday. So at 11. But I think it's a hard situation. I mean, sign stealing is something that, I have many people I know who play Division I college football, and they tell me sign stealing not uncommon. It's common throughout college football. It's just the way this was conducted in such a brass manner, where you have a guy going to different games, dressing up as a coach, all this stuff. That's why it's such a big deal. The way he did it made it worse than it really is, in my opinion. So I'm not surprised. I think they needed to do something. Otherwise, they were going to have a lot of trouble from the rest of the college coaches, because there's a lot of jealous coaches out there about Michigan, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a lot of jealousy, and I think that now that he's able to, he was able to, he had, like, you look at 5 seasons, he was winning, but he wasn't able to beat Ohio State. Then the last 2 seasons, he was able to beat Ohio State handily and put their team in a position to play for a national title. And I just feel like this year they are one step closer of winning it all. And for all of this to come out, it's like, okay, let's slow Michigan's momentum down. Now, the odd caveat in the whole situation is he still could coach on the sideline from practices. He still could be interactive with the team. He still could communicate with the team. There's ways to communicate with the team, even though he's not going to be on the sideline. There's always technology that allows you to have some kind of plug into the quarterback's ear, or have something with the coaches that could, find ways to communicate with you. The coach is not going to necessarily be completely out of the loop because he's not coaching the game. This is where me and Key was discussing this earlier behind the scenes. I just feel like, yeah, okay, everybody does it. The way he went by it, he got caught. Whether he knew, no, not know. I believe all coaches know what's going on, whatever the case might be. It's just the fact of the matter. Just how you go by it and how you get caught makes it a little bit. For everybody in the Big Ten, just to come out and say, oh, you need to do something about it. I mean, when the last time y'all really been relevant? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you recruit good, you do all of this great stuff, but when the last time we seen a great Wisconsin team? I mean, when the last time Michigan State has been good? You know what I'm saying? I mean, my thing is this here. I'm sure they do it. They just really annoyed about Jim Harbaugh. They don't like Jim Harbaugh. And I just feel like if Jim Harbaugh gets this restraining order next Friday, it's going to really, really have a lot of noise again, because then they're going to figure out, well, okay, he could get this, and then to delay it all the way into next year or after the season, they could win the national title. Then they're going to be like, well, they cheated. But you still have to have a hearing to determine all of that other stuff that goes on there. You know what I'm saying? So you can't get mad if they go out and win it all. And I just feel like Michigan, to me, besides Georgia, Georgia's still the team to beat. But I think Michigan can do it. I think they can win it all. I picked them to win it all. Just because of this. I picked Georgia to three-peat, but I shifted my I like to see controversy. I love to see chaos. just because the sheer fact that everybody is so up in arms about this right now.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, I know you can't pick Florida State to win it all, but I feel like Michigan is a second close favorite. I still think Florida State is better than Michigan right now.
Mm,
Florida State is so dominant. We'll get into that later, but it's a lot closer than people expect.
mm. That's another one because we will touch on Florida State later on because they have a huge game today. So, and it's going to, I'm, I can't say nothing right now, but we'll get into it. So, we're going to, oh, I do want to get your thoughts. So, what if Jim Harbaugh gets this ascension, to carry out? What do you think the shockwaves around college football or even in the Big Ten is going to say to them?
Oh, if he gets it extended, which I think he will, I think he's gonna just go to the NFL. I think he's gonna do what Pete Carroll did. You know, when Pete
Mm-hmm.
Carroll got in trouble, he just jumped to the NFL. Jim Harbaugh had many opportunities to go to the NFL. We talked about this before. Like he's had so many opportunities, but he chosen to stay at Michigan. Now it's a time I feel like with everything going on, just go to the NFL. You have nothing to lose by going to the NFL and making that paycheck. You know.
Yeah, and that's a great point because I think he could do that, and I think he wants to see this out, you know, for bad or worse. And if he wins it all, he could go out on top. He could stick a middle finger to them and say, you know what, hey, I beat y'all. I did it my way. Y'all didn't do anything to make me. So regardless of what happened to Michigan next year, because there will be some penalties, some fines and stuff like that, maybe scholarships. They're probably going to take a hit for about a year or two. Depends on what kind of coach that comes in there. If a coach comes in there and knows what he's doing, then it won't take them long. They could just probably take a year off and then come back and regroup themselves again and everything like that. Um, I there's so many names in the NFL, so many teams in the NFL that they say that Jim Harbaugh could come and coach. I mean, he is besides Dion, he is a polarizing figure in college football right now. You know what I'm saying? He is. So you got Dion in Colorado, you got him in Michigan. It, my thing is, do Jim Harbaugh? I do. He want to come to the NFL, but it's going to take the right team for him to get there. Anthony Price said, did he get in trouble at first? At first in Michigan, left to the NFL, then went back to the NCAA. I think he was. I think he did. He was threatening to leave to go to the NFL when he got suspended earlier this season, but there were so many things out there saying that he was going to come to the NFL, but he didn't. He decided to stay at Michigan and everything like that. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of teams in the NFL that he could coach. You know, like the Raiders, the Bears. Honestly, to me, I think the Bears would be better for him. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? He's in that still that same Michigan area or Chicago area market. You could if you want to keep Justin Fields, you can. You know how to use him. You had what he did had Colin Kaepernick over in San Francisco, so you can do things. You could build that team up. You know what I'm saying? Him going to the Raiders will be just a money thing because that they don't really have anything over there. They have to build a whole lot, and you got to think of the division you playing in. You know, you got to deal with Patrick Mahomes and all of them guys over there. Chicago, you really ain't got nobody because Kirk Cousins, you don't know how long he's gonna be back. Jordan Love's still young. You got Jared Goff in Detroit. You don't know how good they're gonna be. They look good now, but you don't know what the staying power for that is. The same way like when he was in San Francisco in the West, you know, it was just them. You know, Seattle and the Rams was just bounding out. So, but um we all know that, I'll say it again, the saga continues with Jim Harbaugh. So now we're gonna move on to Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm a Georgia guy. I lived in Georgia. I still got ties to Georgia. I like Georgia a lot. Um, even though I feel like um, he has something special over there. I mean, he's taking the place of Nick Saban. Even though Nick Saban is still Nick Saban over there in the SEC, but Kirby Smart has put himself in a unique category. Because guess what? If he wins his third straight national title, that has not been done in a long, long time. 26 straight wins, 24 home wins. That's unprecedented. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen none of that since the days of Miami, Florida State, and all these other teams. And he would do something that Dabo Sweetie couldn't do. You know, Dabo went there, but he won two. But Kirby Smart, you know, he's be able to win three straight. I mean, not even Nick Saban has won three straight. So, give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, look, I think that Kirby Smart is doing a great job. Um, no, I don't want Jim Harbaugh in New England, but
I know, right?
no, we're good. But I think that honestly, like Kirby Smart has done a great job in Georgia. Obviously, he's been an excellent coach. It a lot of Georgia wins. I hate watching Georgia play football, and it's not because they're so good. It's because a lot of their wins are done. They the way they play football, I've never seen before. They run the ball down your throat. They force it hard. The pass game, they don't necessarily have the best passing game, but they find a way to get their receivers open. They run a lot of motion plays, so they're motion that outside slot guy, put him on a curl route or whatever. Like a bunch of things they do offensively had never been done successfully before. You know,
Yeah.
and they've always had a great defense. So I hope the next two games Tennessee or Ole Miss can beat them, so we can actually see like, hey, Kirby is beatable. Because right now Kirby Smart looks like he's unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, LSU got destroyed by them last year in the SEC championship. I thought LSU
Mm-hmm.
beat them. So I need to see that Kirby Smart is unbeatable because right now he is. And if he goes this season undefeated and wins a third national championship, like at that point, you either retire because I mean you're putting up those type of numbers, man. You can just spend the rest of your life on the beach, or you go to the NFL. There's two options, or obviously then stay at Georgia. So there's so much opportunity here for Georgia and Kirby.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, like you said, Georgia is beatable. Like I say, depends on what Florida State does today and the rest of the way down. Um, I think Florida State is beatable. Also, I think a lot of these teams is beatable. It's just, I think that you're just going to have to. To me, I feel like you have to play all four quarters against Georgia. 'Cause Georgia do have weapons that they have depth, and it doesn't matter who they. We all know that Brock Bowers is that guy, but like I said, McConkey has stopped up. Now, when Brock Bowers comes back and you keep them two in the mix, it's going to make it more um, hard to beat Georgia. Especially, Georgia always have a great defense. You know what I'm saying? But I think all of these teams this year is it's anyone's ball, it's anybody's race to take it, and I think that's the fun thing about it. Um, this year is that anyone could really win the national title. You got a sneaky Oregon team that could come up in there out of nowhere. Washington, Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State. I think to me, Ohio State is probably the least one. I mean, not saying they don't have a chance, but they probably out of all the teams, I think they show the most vulnerability because a lot of teams had chance to really beat them and didn't beat them. You know, so but I think the main thing is that it's exciting right now, and I'm really looking forward to next year when it's 12. Then when you start to see a lot of things take place, a lot of teams, really trying to jock for position and stuff like that. Um, but again, Kirby Smart, like I said, he's doing something that is very unprecedented, and you can't expect anything from him what he's doing right now. Now, in other news, we do have something about the college playoff for next year. The report was that the college football playoff committee to present a 5+7 model for the 12-team format, which is read by Ross Dillinger from Yahoo Sports, said that the committee voted to recommend the model for college football playoff board and of its managers during the in-person meeting on Thursday. The step in this process will be presented into 11 university presidents and chancellors who own the college football playoff for final approval. The model will reward 5 highest ranked conference champions and 7 highest ranked teams in the 12-team playoffs that is set to begin next year, 2024 and 25. So with that, the model supposed to have a long has been favored by a majority of the managers, comprised by 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swabrick, but they was hesitant because they went with a 7+7, but I guess this 5+7 is a little bit better. Give me your thoughts on what you expect from the first 12-team college playoffs starting next year, and who you think has an outside chance of getting in, or how you think it would play out with the conferences.
Colorado, right off the bat, Colorado. Um, you're going to see a lot of two-loss teams be able to make the playoffs because if they're doing it with the 5 conference champions, that changes everything. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
like you could lose an out of conference game, you could lose one conference game. It gives you a lot more leeway, to lose multiple games. So I look
Mm-hmm.
at the 5 conference champions and then the 7 outside that. There's teams that are, you know, in the top 13, top 12 that will have 2 losses. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of opportunity for a team like Colorado to sneak in. I think Colorado next year is going to be like night and day from what they are this year. I think their offensive line is going to be so much improved. Shador is coming back. Shiloh's coming back. Travis Hunter's coming back. They got that offensive lineman, 6'6", 360. Like, they're building their own line. And don't worry. Like, I feel like Colorado is going to be in contention next year for sure.
I because I think the most part of this whole conversation is that um I think um the college realignment, it kind of like affected the decision to make it a 5+7 instead of a 7+7, because the fact of the matter is that with the Pac-12 dissolving, you ain't gonna have no teams over there because most of them already moved on. You still got the ACC. I mean, not the ACC, but the AAC over there. Depends on what they was in a good position too if none of their teams had went out. So that, I think that was the model before teams went to the Big 12 and all of this realignment started taking place, when it was talking about it, I think like 2 years ago. So it's going to be good because I think, like you said, a team like Colorado could get in. Then you got to look. You might have Miami could have a shot to get in. North Carolina. You don't know what can happen in the ACC. Then you got to think about it. A team like SMU comes over there next year and plays really well, can find themselves in the playoff mix. So it's crazy how then it's still, to me, I think still is going to be a team that's going to be left out, that it's not going to be able to, do, because you probably end up getting 3 teams from one conference in, so how you going to navigate that? You know what I'm saying? So you think about it. The Big 12 will have all them teams. The Big 10 is going to have all them teams in there. I don't expect USC to be any good next year. You still probably have the Ohio States and Michigan still the top there. Penn State might come back. So you could probably have 2 from that conference, 2 from the ACC, SEC, or 3 from the ACC. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. You could probably have 2 from the AAC. You could probably have 2 from the Big 12. So it could be a lot. You could have 3. Like I said, there's a possibility you might have 3 from one conference to get in to that playoffs. So, but and then Notre Dame is going to even put more pressure on them because they're independent. They going to have to win games. They're going to have to win. They for them to get in, they definitely going to have like one loss on their record. You know what I'm saying? Because two loss could really probably it could probably hurt them. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that's the only thing about them. That's why I say Notre Dame should. I know they like the independence, being independent, but I still think they should be able to join a conference, even the ACC or the Big 12, Big 10. Find one of them to get in, then play some of these tougher teams. You play them already, but then if you lose to them and you independent, then nobody's really gonna look at you. You know what I'm saying? They can look at you a little bit better when you're in conference and say, okay, well, this is what their strength of schedule look like. They only have one loss, two loss. Then okay, let's rank them up because now you know the BC S ranking is gonna be crazy. It's gonna be really crazy, next year. So, but with that, man, I'm excited. I've been wanting this for years, man, years. I really wanted to go to 8, and when they said 12, I said, okay, let's go to 12. But then I say, how many teams that's in the playoff in the NFL? You got 7 on each side. That's 14, right?
Right.
That's what I would say. I would go 14. You know what I'm saying? Because I like underdog stories. I like teams like Tulane, Coastal Carolina, just to see what they could do. You know what I'm saying? We know they probably get beat up on, but hey, it makes a great storyline. It does us good for content creation purposes. So I like stuff like that. Um, but today, man, we have a slew of crazy games today, man. Um, right off the bat, we going straight for. I'm gonna run down the slate, but I'm just gonna pick some of the good ones right now. Oh, look who's in the house! Cool McCain is in the house. My
What up?
brother,
What up?
my brother from another. What up? You must be on the road, brother. I can't hear you.
That might help. That might help.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
up,
yeah.
y'all? What up?
What's going on? What's going on, man? It looks like you on
Chilling,
the
man.
road.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But I got to get with the squad, man. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Got a
yeah.
free day. Got to get with the squad.
Oh,
What's
he
going
got a
on?
free day. Oh my God! Salute, salute, my brother. So,
Well, as free as it's gonna get, I'm on the way to a funeral.
oh well, my condolences to whoever it is
Appreciate it.
and family.
Appreciate it.
Um, well, we was talking about the Jim Harbaugh, Georgia, Georgia's winning streak and the college playoff for next year. So, give me your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh real quick, and I'll run through everything else with you.
Sure. So Jim Harbaugh, one of the devotee graduates of the Bill Belichick School of Cheating, got off with a very, very light slap on the wrist for his behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because why? Because he's a big dog in the Big Ten, and Michigan is one of them big name schools. So they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to try to do nothing to him. The Big Ten is a joke for that punishment. So
Yeah.
you mean to tell me, oh, you can still coach the games, you can still coach all the practices, but you can't be on the sidelines for games? How is that a
Right.
punishment?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Big Ten, you gotta be better than that. You would have did better off saying we're gonna pick the weakest opponent they got and you suspend it for that whole week. That would have satisfied everybody more outside of Michigan fans than this mess right here.
Yeah.
This is
Because
a
it,
joke.
yeah, exactly. Just like me and Chris were talking about, is that like he still could be able to communicate.
He still do everything besides show up on the sideline. He could be in the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, he could be
He
in the
can have a
box.
walkie-talkie in the stands. Like he can be anywhere. He
Exactly.
just can't be on the sideline.
Exactly. That's my
He could be in
point.
the, but he could be in the front row. You know what I'm saying? He could be in the tunnel. He could be anywhere besides on the field.
Or he could be at
Really?
Hooters with Urban Meyer. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep. He could be Hooters with Urban Meyer.
Yeah. Did speaking of Urban Meyer, I heard something. I heard something about him maybe coming back coaching, maybe going to Michigan State. Oh my gosh, That's all we need. 2 scandals in the Big Ten. Some more scandals in the Big Ten, man. But you know something? It's funny. Um, College football, Big Ten has had the most scandals for what I realize with coaches. What's the old coach that used to coach Ohio State? Tressel, Jim
Jim
Tressel.
Tressel. Yeah.
Yeah, him. Then Urban Meyer, Rich Rodriguez. Then you had now
Tressel
you
was a lot too.
yeah
Tressel was a lot. That was like over a decade. He was wild on the low.
yeah the Penn State situation.
Oh man.
And then then you got Jim Harbaugh now. It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. The Big Ten. We just call it the big scandal. It's just
Pretty much.
yeah, the big scandal. All right. So what you think about Kirby Smart's dominance so far? His 26 straight wins, 24 home wins. You know, what does his streak remind you of from the previous college football years?
It reminds me of when Clemson was dominant. It reminds me of when Alabama was dominant. Right? It comes in waves. You can't keep it up, but he riding the wave right now. Like that's the like his recruiting's on point. He's got the talent, and not just the talent. He's got the talent sitting behind the talent. Remember we talked about 3 or 4 years ago. You talked about Alabama. You talked about how they had Devontae Smith. They had Henry
Mm-hmm.
Ruggs. You know, et cetera, et cetera. I ain't gonna go through the time to name all of them, but they had a whole lot of really good receivers. Got to throw
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle in there. You can't not say Jalen Waddle name, but they had a good, solid group of receivers for 2 or 3 years, like really strong. You know, you had quarterbacks, you had running backs, you had the complete package. You
Yeah.
had defense. You had guys who would start at 75 to 80% of other schools sitting on the bench waiting for other guys to leave. That's how good you were. That's how strong the recruiting was. But
Mm-hmm.
see, it switched because Kirby Smart was smart, pun intended, enough to say, I'm going to use this transfer portal too. Like, I'm not going to just sit here and be like, oh, they got to come play for me 4 years. Oh, no, you can help my team right now. Come on over here to Georgia. You know, I'm not trying to bring in 15, 20 people. I'm not in a situation like Deion was in Colorado where I got to bring in that many people. But I got a couple of holes. There's a couple of guys out there that I feel like can fill them. If they want to come, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be somebody else in another 2 or 3 years, right? Because these windows last about 5 or 6 years max. It just
Yeah.
switches. But you ride the wave while you got to get you some national championships. I don't see a team personally, including Ohio State, that's a better team than Georgia right now. And that's a testament to Kirby Smart and his staff because this is not the NFL. You got to go out and recruit the kids and get the kids and their families sold on coming to you. They've done a good job of that.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right about that. And I just think that like I said, they still the team to beat. Until somebody prove otherwise. But there's our Chris named one, and I named one of them. Florida State, Michigan. I think it's gonna be funny because if Michigan if Michigan does go out and win it all, man, what kind of statement would that send in college football at the end of end of the year?
Yes, there's one more that you got to mention though. There's one more that you got to mention.
Who's that?
Washington, because Michael
Oh yeah,
Penix is nice.
yeah.
And that defense is pretty good. Like it may not be a top tier defense, but it's got to be second tier. You know what I'm saying? If you got a really good quarterback, a second tier defense, he gets protected. They can run the ball as well. He got several receivers that can make plays, and they don't mind slinging that ball around. And he can get protected. Like Washington's dangerous too.
Yeah, they are very dangerous. So give me your quick thoughts on the college playoff for next year. They changed it to a five 5+7 model instead of the 7+7. And who do you think who will make their first college playoff appearance in that model next year?
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I'm loving next year, man. When they go to 12 teams, your boy is salivating at the mouth, ready. I mean, they should have done it this year. They should have been done this because you have so many good teams, and you're limiting it to 4 teams having an opportunity. you have so many bowl games now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even count the number of bowl games we have, but I know it's it's bukus of bowl games. So now you could take some of those games and you can give them a higher level of importance.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're going to have a nice chunk devoted to just the playoffs.
Yeah,
Then
I
on
agree.
top of that, that makes the other bowls more valuable because now if you're going to the Tostitos Bowl, it might mean something, right? If you're going to the Castro Syntec Oil Bowl, it might mean something. If you're going to the Whataburger Bowl, it might mean a little bit more. And we can
Yeah,
go on naming these bowls because it's wild. The Chick-fil-A Bowl, like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many bowl games. The Napa Auto Parts Bowl, like when you go to those games, they're going to have a higher level of importance because you're going to have a certain amount to set aside for the playoff. So that means the
yeah,
other ones start to climb in importance because it's going to be harder to be in those other bowls if you're not one of those other 12 now. So I like that. I think it's a great move for college football. It gives more teams the opportunity. And to an extent levels the playing field because if you're a good school, but you just happen to be in a conference that maybe you lost a game, right? But you're still a
mm-hmm.
really good school. Now you're going to have a chance. Right now, unless you're in the SEC, you lose a game, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
My co-host for Play Callers, man, he always talks about how scared he is against playing Miami today because he like any loss that he know he out the playoffs. Doesn't matter who he lose to. If he would have
Mm-hmm.
lost to LSU, he'd be out the playoffs because he's in the ACC. So he
Yeah,
understands that, and you have to understand that. But now with 12 teams, you can take one L and still be good.
yeah,
You don't have to.
I
You don't
got
have
you.
to be like, oh, man, I lost the game. I'm not in the SEC. Ain't no way I'm getting to the playoffs. So
Yeah,
I'm excited for it, man. It's what we need in college football for a long time. And you know who I'm gonna say is gonna make their first appearance next year in the playoffs?
Dion.
Yes, sir. Colorado, baby.
Yeah,
He 8 or 9
that's
dogs away. Let's go.
yeah, that's what Chris said it too. I said the same thing. I think
I like it, Chris. I like it, John.
I
Great
think
minds think alike.
yeah. Also, I I said this with SMU team that comes to the ACC, they could do a lot. They could shake up a lot of things and jump in there. It depends on how they play next year, or how they do well in conference. I mean, there's so
They could
many
definitely be
different.
one of the better teams in the ACC because we know Mario Cristobal is showing he can't coach his way out of a paper bag. So
Yeah, he remind me of Jackie Chan when he be fighting drunk, just swinging all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
he reminds me of what's the guy we had that used to have on the sweater vest and had no clue how to coach.
Oh, talk about dang it slipped my mind. I know who you talk about though.
Yeah, the guy that was
So
there before Mario.
talk.
Not Mario. The guy that was there like 2 coaches ago. I
You
can't
talk.
remember his name right now.
Oh, you talk about the dude from Temple.
The dude before him,
Oh
before he
gosh.
is. The silly dude. He used to always wear the sweater vest.
Yeah. He came. Dang it.
He had no clue how to coach. I
Yeah.
liked him, but he was
I
a
know who you
great guy,
talk
but
about.
not a good
Yeah,
coach.
I know you talk
Yeah.
about.
He reminds me
Um.
of him without the
Yeah.
sweater
Cause
vest.
yeah, pretty much. Um. But so today, like I was telling Chris, that we got a slew of, I mean, a lot of great games. We're gonna start off with the big one at 12 noon with Michigan and Penn State. Now with Michigan, now the guys from Michigan tweeted out after they got the suspension from Harbaugh, and JJ McCarthy tweeted, said bet, and everybody else followed suit. I think this team is gonna be highly motivated, and I don't think Penn State probably playing them at the wrong time right about now. Chris, give me your pick and your thoughts real quick.
So I bet Penn State plus the 5.5. I just think that Penn State defense is a top 5 defense in college football. I've watched the defense play at Ohio State. I watched the defense play all year. Their defense is dominant. I think they slow Michigan down. Now, do I think Michigan comes out and wins this game? Yes, but it's going to be a lot closer than people expect. I got Michigan winning this game 30-27.
Hmm. Um, cool.
This is tough, man. I'm gonna go Michigan to win the game. I think it will be a tight game. I agree with Chris. I can rock with that score. But the one thing about this is I want to put this game on upset alert because I think Penn State has a good opportunity to slide this game away. going to be very difficult because, as you said, this Michigan team is going to be extra motivated because of everything that's been happening with the coach and how they feel wrong. Even though the dude is a cheater, they're going to feel wrong as players if you're missing your cheating coach. With the
Yep.
Bill Belichick school of cheating. But, I'm not going to get back
Yeah.
on that. I'm not going to get on my horse on that. So, gotta go
Yeah.
Michigan.
I think I'm gonna pick Michigan. I think Penn State does have, that's something that Manny Diaz is good at, is coaching defense. He's not great as a head coach, but defensive wise, yeah, he's there. Um, I do believe that if Penn State can't put up points, and they're gonna have to put up points, they're gonna have to do something to upset Michigan. And if they don't put up points, it don't matter how long they defense, how good their defense is, it's going to get worn down. And Michigan is definitely is going to, they're going to run. Michigan does this. This is how they play. They'll play with you all through the first half. Once that second half come and they don't figure out some things, that's when they stop pouring it on. And if you don't put up points in the second half, then guess what's going to happen? They'll end up blowing that game out of the water, and then it's going to go downhill for them. I don't see them losing any momentum, but this game can be an upset alert for them. But I think down the extra motivation just been given to them. Them guys are going to come out. They're going to want to. I mean, they're going to want to destroy their opponent. And it's at what is I think it's at 4.5 right now, 4.5. So me personally, I look at it as, I don't know. I'll give them a 2 touchdown lead. I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. I think just the extra motivation is going to do it. I think it's going to be close in the first half, but you know what I'm saying. So until Chris come back, we're going to go to Arizona, Colorado. Um, Arizona is a 9.5 favorite. Um, I really need, to me, I really need Deion doing to bounce back from this game, because that game last week could have been a little bit different if they did certain things. Well, give me your thoughts on that one, cool.
Man, this is a tough one. My heart say Colorado. Because I feel like Arizona's had some great games, man. They've had kind of like their big time games. They've had some big wins. But the thing is, we know, and it's been exposed, that Colorado offensive and defensive lines are not what they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that problem, that hurts you, against teams that know how to win. And then also, Coach Brown, you ever see this Saturday football showdown? So I have one request for you. Please make a decision with Travis Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or cut his snaps. We cannot have this brother out here playing every snap on offense as a wide receiver and then every snap on defense as a corner. If you're going to
Mm-hmm.
play him on both, you got to limit his snaps. You got other guys that can play wide receiver. You have other guys that can play corner. You're going to have to learn how to mix that in, Coach, for it to work. Him playing all the snaps at both positions, he's not going to make it through the rest of this season. He's not going to make it through next season. We need to I personally would like for you to solidify a position for him. Decide where he's better at, and that's where I feel like you need to play him at. And if you want to line him up at the other every once in a while as a package, that's cool. But you got to make a decision. He's too talented, but he's losing that ability in college to really focus in on one position. Because he's
Yeah.
not going to the NFL and play cornerback and wide receiver. He's going to have to play a position. He's going to have to choose one. So help him choose one now. Let that be his primary position. And if you're playing the other one, a little bit, that's fine, right? But do what's right by this kid. I understand that for your team, it's good to have him as two players, but for his long-term health, for his long-term sustainability in the NFL and in college, he needs to play on one side of the ball, man, or at least primarily
Yeah.
on one side of the ball. I think Arizona's going to win this game. I don't want them to win the game, but I think they're going to win the game. They are riding a good wave of momentum. They beat some solid teams. This is that last year, so everybody's kind of like last hurrah for the Pac-12 as we know it. It's going to be the Pac-2 essentially after this year. But I'm sure they'll make some moves, try to grab some other teams and, quote unquote, build it back up, but it won't be the same caliber.
Yeah, it won't
So,
be.
it won't be the same. They should probably just rename it, whatever they do. But
Yeah.
I feel like Arizona's the one that's going to win. But I would love for that Colorado line, if the offensive line can find a way to hold up to Shador Sanders. I mean, you look at his stats are comparable to Caleb Williams' stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not exact, but they're comparable stats. When you give him time to allow him to actually go through his reads, this kid knows how to play quarterback.
Yeah.
But he needs the time in that line, man. A lot of times, I want to sue the defensive line of the team for molestation on behalf of Shador Sanders. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
can't be a solid NFL quarterback, a prospect, if your line is not is at that. So I think one of the reasons that Coach Prime even said earlier in the year, like Shador coming back, is because he understood he needs a year behind a elite line to show
Yeah.
how he can sit back in that pocket and really play quarterback and give himself the season-long tape that you want to show, NFL scouts, coaches, front offices, and personnel. So I
Yeah.
think Arizona wins the game, but I think long-term, Colorado ends up being the better team.
I think I want Colorado to win. I just want them to win the next 2 games, go to 5, win one more, make a bowl game, and then and that's my goal. I think the Utah game is going to be a slow game because Utah is not putting up points. Their defense is good though, you know, but I don't think they if Cam Rising was there, it'd be a whole different story with Utah this year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whole different story. So, but I I mean, I feel Arizona win the game, but I'm gonna just pick Deion just because I just want them to get that 5th win and get closer to that bowl. If they make a bowl, then I'm good with it. I'm good with everything. But like you, I agree with everything you say. They do need depth on the defense and the offensive line. Shador need to come back. I think also, with Shador is that I think also with Shador, he needs to learn how to throw it away. Don't risk getting hit. I mean, it's hard to not risk getting hit so much because they just blown up through the line so bad. I think they find a way to run the ball. They definitely need to find a way to run the ball. I don't care what it is, just find a way. I mean, the dude looked like he was getting hurt. He was hurt so bad last week, and I was like, man, they need to just take him out. Just put somebody else in there, you know. So Deion gonna have to learn how to manage it. And it's definitely what I said this ever since they played USC, where Omarion Miller, when he came in the game, that was the weapon that they needed on offense.
Right, and they won't play him like that. It's
And
like,
they
bro,
won't play on, and
use
they
your
won't
weapon.
play like. And I was like, I understand you got all of these other guys, but if you're going to utilize Travis, let Omarion take that pressure off of Travis. You could put Travis in there a few snaps to make it more dynamic, but allow
Right.
Travis to focus more on defense. Then you got Amarian McLean. He played well against USC. Why not use all your defensive guys on defense to like really help slow some of this down? I mean, you can't rely on Shiloh because he's a small defensive back. He can't cover everything. Travis winded. You can't expect for him to go up against the top guys and then he's not performing at a high level. Camardi in there could take some of the pressure. You got to use your personnel. I understand you want to send a message to some of these players, and that's fine. But when at the end of the day,
Trying to win football games too.
yeah.
So here's the one thing though I thought about. They have a rule in college football. If there's not enough teams that are going to be bowl eligible with 6 wins, you can't take a 5-win team to fill out the rest of the bowl games. So my guess is if Colorado could at least win one more game and get to 5 wins, I'm pretty confident that one of these bowls, like the Outback Steakhouse Bowl or the Burger King Bowl or the McDonald's Bowl or the Jack in the Box Bowl or something. And of course, I'm being facetious, but you know what I'm saying. One of these more pure bowls will be like, you know what? Let's go ahead and grab Colorado. This ratings right there. So Coach Prime has done a good job of making this so if there's any way, say they don't get 6 wins, but there's any way that they can be in a bowl game still, they're intriguing enough. They're selling out. The crowd, their fans are going to follow them. And that's a team that you like, yeah, let's put them in that game. And see, that's smart of him. Because if you can get a bowl game, you're one
Yeah.
with 5 or 6 wins. You
Yeah.
still have given yourself a lot of room to grow, and you already made this team so much better than last year.
Exactly. That's why I say it's a win. It's a win-win for him off the muscle. No matter how people may look at it or whatever the case might be. We're gonna go down to the 3:30 game right now. Our Miami Hurricanes face off the in-seat rival Florida State Seminoles. Now, I've been hearing a lot of chatter. You know, a lot of people from my job saying, "Hey, this is gonna be a blowout." And I told them, I say, Tyler Van Dyke play? Yeah, it'll be a blowout. I think, but also Mario has to allow Shannon Dawson to coach. He has to allow them to use the personnel that they have. The defense, I can't say nothing bad about Miami's defense because Miami defense has played solid all year and had kept them in some games. Can they beat Florida State? Can Florida State get upset? Yeah, they can, but it depends on how well Miami is going to put a full game together. They have not put a full game together since back when they played Texas A&M. And if you look at Miami's schedule from that point on, they was averaging almost 40 points a game. Ever since they went on that bye and came back, they only scored 30 points once, and that was in the North Carolina game when that game was pretty much over. So they were struggling playing. They only was scoring like 20 something points a game. So something had to happen from that bye week to now to where their point production is not. And I get it. Tyler Van Dyke he's one of the parts, but I think Mario stubbornness is another one because if you know this guy is a shell of himself, you should have been removed him early. You should have been removed him. You should have removed him after the North Carolina game. This would have gave you more preparation in the last 3 games to and I said this on my show and I was telling Donnie, I said we would have been more prepared going into the Florida State game, knowing who the quarterback is, had a better overall understanding than going in there with the unknown because you don't allow a quarterback to be a shell of himself that he doesn't know where he wants to go with the ball. He just stares down receivers. Florida State ain't a team that you're gonna go in there and just making mistakes. Keon Coleman and the other wide receiver, they playing today. Now, will they set them off on purpose? Maybe for this game, but they're gonna be back to this game. So you really gonna have your hands full. The defense is going to have their hands full. Can the defense keep them in the game? The only way I see Miami pulling this upset, you're gonna have to have Emory Williams and Ja'Cory Brown play. You're gonna have to mix up some stuff. We see this in the NFL a lot. Cool. You gotta slow the game down. You gotta slow it down to where you have to make Florida State think differently. Then you're gonna have to let the defense try to get to Jordan Travis a little bit, rough him up like we did Drake May, for the first 3 quarters. But the offense is gonna have to find some way to put points on the board. You're gonna have to put points on the board, even though if you slow the game down. So what I don't know, man. I want to see Miami win this game and raise some of all of this negativity. But it's gonna be hard it's hard for me to really depict them. I'm gonna watch the game. Don't get me wrong, but will Florida State win? Yeah, they'll win the game. Will it be bad? Don't know. Depends on if Mr. Van Dyke play or not.
Well, I say, man, we've got 2 Miami teams, right? We got good Miami and we got bad Miami. I call it Dr. Jekyll Miami and Mr. Hyde Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So if Mr. Hyde Miami shows up, it don't matter who we play, we lose. Dr. Jekyll Miami shows up, we at least have a chance. I agree with what you said. I would like to also add to that.
Okay.
We know what's going on with Tyler Van Dyke. We know he doesn't look like himself. So why aren't we making adjustments to play calling, play design, to take advantage of his strengths and help build his confidence back up?
Mm-hmm.
Who else sees the quarterback to the Wolves, knowing that he's not playing well in the current system? Miami.
Yeah.
Nobody else does that. Nobody else does that. Nobody else says my quarterback's playing bad. I understand he's playing bad. The way that I'm gonna help him is I'm not gonna do anything. This is why I told you earlier this season, don't get high on Miami. This has been a consistent thing for the last 7, 8 years. We come out, we look good for a certain amount of games. Once we hit that little bit of like turbulence, then you look at Miami and say, this is every year.
Mm-hmm.
We have to learn. We are not there yet. Excuse me, y'all.
You good?
Fucking right where I'm at. But Florida State is the best team in the ACC by far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Louisville's the next closest through play, not preseason rankings or hype or what they've done in the past, but this year.
Yeah.
Could we beat Florida State? Yes, a rivalry game. Are we going to keep it close? I believe we will, because I believe we'll get a late, meaningless touchdown like we've done before, like we did against Carolina. But I've definitely got to go Florida State. I don't see a way, truthfully speaking, and I'm a diehard Hurricanes fan, just like my man Mark.
Yeah.
But you got to be real.
Oh yeah.
And if you're being real, Florida State is levels above. They got to win this game.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah, so, when I look at this game, right? I mean, we've been talking about Tyler Van Dyke and his struggles. He's really struggled this year, to be honest. I mean, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not great for a quarterback in the Miami Hurricanes. Who are your other options is my only question, right? If he doesn't play. You have Jerus Brown, he's a sophomore from Georgia. He hasn't played great either. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So you really don't have that depth at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I felt like they had more depth with Jake Garcia. I thought Jake Garcia, when he played pretty well, in my opinion. I think Jake Garcia will be a decent quarterback at Missouri next year. So, that's a big thing. When you're recruiting, you have to recruit for quarterback depth. Obviously, Mario Cristobal, he made many mistakes this year, like y'all said. Like his coaching is not that great. His decision making, he's not clutch. He wasn't clutch at Oregon. He's not clutch now. Nothing has really changed about him. So going into next year, you have to utilize the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. And I don't know if Tyler Van Dyke is tired of being with this program. That's a question we also have to ask. If you remember during the offseason, there was rumors about him possibly transferring to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a rumor about him transferring to Utah. I've heard every rumor in the book about Tyler Van Dyke leaving Miami. And when he sat there on a podcast last year and said, we don't get any fans or something like that, which is true. Obviously, Miami doesn't get any fans. That's obvious. But, for a starting quarterback to come out and say that shows what he thinks about the program and the state of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Van Dyke hit the portal this year. And the question is, who will be the Miami Hurricanes starting quarterback in 2024? I think there's a ton of great options coming out of, this year's transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple quarterbacks that come to my mind, but I'm interested to see. I think for this game, particularly speaking, Miami will keep it close. I got Miami plus 13.5. It's a rivalry game. I think Chris Ball's going to have his boys ready to go. I think Van Dyke, if he plays, he will play a good game. I think it'll be 27-20 Florida State.
I'll take that. Like I said, cool. You hit on all the great points. Also, y'all hit on great points. It's going to be very interesting. Like I always project myself. I just think it's so much bad coaching going on, and me personally, I just wish that Tyler had transferred over the all season, because the fact of the matter is that it would have gave one of these guys a better opportunity to grow with the system, grow with the program. I think still at the end of the year, I think he's going to probably want to go down there with Rick Lashley. I think that's what he really wanted to do. But we'll touch on that on another day. Now, Chris, I know you wasn't on, but what's your pick for Arizona and Colorado?
Arizona's a great team. They're a really, really great team, man. Those Wildcats are not to be played with. No Fafita, their quarterback. He's been slinging that rock all over the place. Their receiving core is amazing. Their defense is second to none. I mean, they are a really, really solid team. Shedeur Sanders is going to have his hands full. Although I think Colorado will cover the spread, I think Colorado's going to win this game. It's senior day. It's their last home game of the year. They're going to come out motivated. Dion knows what's at stake. I got Colorado winning this game. It's going to be super close. I got it like 20-17, Colorado.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna speed through some of these picks to Thomas, at the essence right now. All right, we're gonna go with Alabama, Alabama and Kentucky. Alabama's 81, Kentucky is 6-3. Alabama's 11-point favorite. Cool, go.
Alabama.
Chris.
Alabama. Jalen Milroe is hot. Jalen Milroe has come out and be a firecracker the last couple of weeks. What I've seen from him, he gives me hope. Alabama all the way.
Well, I'll pick Alabama also. I don't see nothing slowing them down right now. They're looking like they found a quarterback. All right, we're gonna skip down to Utah and Washington. This is a really another great game for Washington and Michael Penix. Chris, give me your thoughts and your pick.
Oh, Washington, 100%. I think Michael Penix can go crazy today. I can see a 4-touchdown, 400-yard performance out of Penix. Washington all the way.
Cool.
Definitely Washington. Definitely Washington.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Washington. I ain't gonna lie to you, not. And Chris, I'm gonna give you a lot of credit because you sold me on Michael Penix when we started this season, and the more I watched him, I fell in love with him. And I don't know if anybody follows me when I talk college football or talk players. I'm quarterback, wide receiver are my two things because I play wide receiver, but I love great quarterback play and I love a really good wide receiver that does everything. So Michael Penix, I think this game right here, he gets past this, it's going to even rise his stock even further than it is already. And I just think that Utah, even though Utah has, they rep themselves on defense, their offense just don't put up points. They like to slow the game down, and I think you're not gonna be able to slow Michael Penix down today. So I'm going with Washington. Tennessee and Missouri, both 7-2. Tennessee is a 2.5 favorite. Cool.
I'm gonna go with the quote unquote upset. I'm gonna go Missouri.
All right, you going with them Tigers, not Clemson.
Yeah, same here. Tigers all the way. It's at their place. Luther Burden, man. Bounce back game. Tigers all the way.
No, I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna go with Tennessee, just because. I'm gonna go with Tennessee. All right, we're gonna stroll down a little bit more. 7 o'clock game, Georgia and Ole Miss, and Brock Bowers is a game time decision for this game.
I have trouble believing that. I really, really have trouble believing that. I mean, I know they're reporting on it, but how is it possible that a guy a week and a half ago had a season-ending injury and all of a sudden he's a game time decision? That's crazy to me. But, Kirby knows this is a big game, so he's gonna pull out all the tricks. Lane Kiffin, man, he can't win the big game. You can't win the big game, man. Martin has been saying it since the beginning of the season. Lane Kiffin cannot win the big game. This is the biggest game of his season right here, bigger than Alabama. He's going into Athens. Jackson Dart has been playing well. They have a receiver, number 9, Trey Sanders, I think his name is, really, really solid. Junkins, the running back down there for TCU. I think they have a good team. I think Ole Miss, the offense is really good. I think Ole Miss will lose this game, but I think it's going to be super close. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I got Georgia 38-35.
Cool.
Georgia.
Georgia. I got Georgia. Like I said, I don't have no faith in Lane Kiffin. Even though he got good teams, he just can't win the big one. And I don't know what it is. I still ain't figured it out yet with him. And I mean, as good as his teams is, he just can't not overcome. I think the Alabama game was perfect for him to really beat Nick Saban. But then you going against another pupil of Nick Saban and Kirby Smart that got his team looking like an NC basketball dominance team. So uh I'm going with Georgia because I don't see no faith in Lane. All right. Now we're gonna go down to USC and Oregon. Whew, my goodness. Cool.
Man, I hate to be USC this week. Oregon is about to stomp them. A victory, decimate, annihilate, all those things.
Yeah.
Oregon's on a mission. Bo Nix is on a mission, and I'm gonna tell you, not gonna get in their way. USC and Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And Caleb Williams can have a good game, but they ain't gonna win it.
Yeah, this is a weird game, man. I think in Oregon, like USC has no chance. I think it's going to be like a 10-point game, so 30, actually 40-30, Oregon.
Well,
this is a game, real quick, Martin. This is a game where we can pull out Vince McMahon's theme music.
Oh yeah. Yes, we definitely can because honestly, Oregon is gonna like if the USC thought it got bad the last 3-4 weeks, it's gonna get worse today. Um, Oregon in a dominant performance. They're 16-point favorite. I think it's gonna be more than 16 points. So Oregon all the way. We got Duke and North Carolina. That game is on the ACC network. They are also at 8 o'clock tonight. NC State is 12 points favorite, but I mean, cool. What you think?
I like Duke in the game. I don't really like North Carolina. I was skeptical of them all season.
Mm-hmm.
I like Duke. Even without the quarterback, I think Duke's defensively is good enough to give North Carolina trouble, and I think they'll be able to get enough points with their young quarterback. He's got a couple of games under his belt now, so he's not coming out fresh like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Duke. And I don't even like Duke. I don't like anything Duke.
Chris.
Oh yeah, North Carolina, all the way. Duke's new quarterback, Henry Loftus. He looks like a lock puppy running around. So I got North Carolina win this game. I think they're gonna bounce back.
North Carolina. I think ever since North Carolina played Miami, I don't know whatever Miami did in that game. Well, I know what they did in the game, but I think some of these teams took what Miami did against them, had early success in the first 3 quarters, and they applied to like the Virginians, like the Georgia Techs. And I think Duke, if Duke quarterback didn't get hurt when they played Florida State, I think their game could have been a little bit more competitive. I think this game is going to be a tricky game for North Carolina. And I'm going to give Duke the upset in this game because I just think Duke do have enough to beat North Carolina. Just how well Drake May is going to play, So you got Texas and TCU. Texas 11-point favorite. TCU has taken a real step back from last year. In which, the Home Frogs, they always have a decent team, but this year, they take a step back. What do y'all thoughts on this game, Chris?
TCU is not going to win the game, but Texas has a ton of pressure on their young quarterback, Malik Murphy. Malik Murphy has a cloud, and that cloud was hanging over Quinn Ewers' head. A huge, huge cloud, and that cloud is called Arch Manning. They are psychotic about getting Arch Manning in. They want Malik Murphy to suck, so Arch Manning gets his opportunity. It's a lot of pressure. And going into TCU, I think Texas can win this game, but this game is going to be 5-6, I feel. Well, this is going to be a good old school. I mean, it's going to be like when my boy Trayvon Boykin was playing TCU. It's going to be like one of those old school games. I got Texas winning this game 41-38.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go Texas as well. I don't see TCU having a real chance in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Texas all day and every day. All right, one more before we get ready to wrap up is Florida, LSU, and Jaden Daniels will start today.
Oh, LSU, all the way. LSU by 14 and a half, 100%. At LSU, yeah, give me LSU.
All right, cool.
Yeah, LSU has their struggles, but they're playing against a team that had more struggles.
Yeah.
So LSU's going to be able to get in here and get a win. Um, I'm not predicting a blowout, but I think LSU is a better team. They will be able to do what needs to be done, and they'll win this game. Um, but they may look ugly doing it, but they'll win this game.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with LSU because I want to see Jaden Daniels play. I just think he's one of the more exciting quarterbacks in the nation, along with Michael Penix and a slew of other guys. I just love his fluidness, the way he scrambles out the pocket. I mean, he's more like a Slim Reaper on in the football world. It's just I love just like he has he has it. You know, it's just like some quarterbacks you could watch and tell that they have it if they get the right person with them and everything. I love Mike. Like I said, I'm a huge Michael Penix fan. I love Jalen Daniels. I just like seeing these guys. I like great quarterback play. You know, not just always run when necessary, but you can throw the ball, and so that's what I like about it. But I'm gonna pick LSU in this. You know, I don't see anything differently. So that wraps up our Saturday edition of the College Football Saturday football show. It's great as always to hang out with y'all guys on a Saturday morning, but you know we only got a few weeks to go before the season ends and we head into the bowl season. And definitely we will do some of our bowl picks when that time comes. But right now, cool, since you are from the car riding out, give us your location. I mean, not your location, but give us um your your following, you know, YouTube and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. So YouTube, man, two places you can find your boy. Obviously, everybody make sure that you sub into the Sports Way whenever off rip. But you can find me youtube.com/ at Eagles Elite Podcast, youtube.com/ at Real Play Callers. And if you haven't already, go to youtube.com/ at Shady Sports Network and jump on there as well. There's three places where you can find great content that me and other content creators are dropping. You know what I'm saying? As far as handles, man, Twitter at Cool McCain, Twitter at Eagles Elite Podcast, um, Instagram at Cool_McCain, at Eagles Elite Podcast, at Real Play Callers. You know what I'm saying? Same thing well, not Twitter. I forgot Twitter. But you can also join the Eagles Elite Podcast group on Facebook. You can also follow me on Facebook at Cool McCain. Several shows, man. I'll just say, hop on, follow me. I'm posting. I'm letting you know what's coming up. I'm keeping you informed. That's what I do.
And with that being said, Chris, where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm playing with my boy Cool, Shady Sports Network, YouTube. We just passed over 1,000 subscribers. We have new content coming every single week. We got like improved, shows, everything. We're start a basketball show here soon with my boy Martin the Cool. Excited for that. But a lot of new things. You can follow me on Facebook. Any questions, concerns, or comments, you can reach out. I'll respond to you within probably 10 minutes. But yeah, that's about it. I'm really excited for the end of this college football season. It's gone by way too fast. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
definitely miss it when it's over. So trying to enjoy the last couple of weeks while we still have it.
Well, and also you can find me everywhere. Part of this news basketball segment with Cool and Chris, which will be coming up soon after the football season or whenever we decide. You can always find me here Saturday mornings, co-hosting or hosting the college football show with Coach Cool and Chris. Also, you can find me on my own segment, Livewire Sports Media, when I do Watch the Commanders, the Aftermath. show on Mondays and the Canes on the Daily on Tuesdays. And you can find me from time to time on the NFC Beast on Saturday nights when there's not a lot going on in the sports world. So, and I will be replacing, we're coming with some basketball content for my Chicago Bulls soon. So stay tuned for that. But you can always find me on X, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Rumble. I mean, I'm everywhere, man. So I'm always here lending a helping hand to my fellow content creators. This is what we do. We do it on a daily, every day, morning, noon, and night. So y'all enjoy y'all weekend and make sure y'all teams win. If they don't, hey, you get to do it again next week, as always. Until then, I'm out.
Continue to turn what that has been for a long time.